I'm usually alright when I make my first video in the morning, but by this time my mental state is beginning to suffer. And already this morning I'm having strange thoughts and strange memories, and I'm being attacked by voice-to-skull technology operated by Master Mason of the United Grand Lodge of England, Samuel Buchan's networks. Indeed, this network, coordinated by Samuel Buchan, seems to be mainly made up of hereditary bloodline members of the Ferris family who are out to get me. So it's all very interesting to say that the Ferris family are key in this overall saga. Indeed, woman's police constable Emma Jane Ferris of Devizes Police, who regularly gets gangbanged by Devizes police officers, is attempting to operate a scheme on me whereby I am shut down and revealed as a Russian agent. Indeed, this is part of the Blackwell legacy that Troy Southgate is attempting to implement on me. Indeed, the story of this saga is that in the 1950s, a schizophrenic named Michael was getting close to exposing the Roundway experiment. This was in 1954, at the height of original Cold War tensions. Indeed, Archibald Blackwell, a Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operative, member of the British Security Services, MI5, framed Michael as a Soviet spy and had him locked away in Broadmoor for treason for the rest of his life. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Michael died in the 1980s in Broadmoor. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, he was kept away from the majority of the other residents at Broadmoor in a special wing of Broadmoor Hospital, and was not allowed any contact with the outside world at all because of what he knew about the Roundway experiment. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider the current climate of the Second Cold War and the manufactured creation of an enemy by the British intelligence services. Indeed, the British intelligence services are creating hostility between the nations when nations are obsolete. Indeed, the modern world is all about networks. However, the British intelligence services are creating a conflict whereby the population believe there is a genuine conflict between Britain and Russia, when there's really just conflicts between networks. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider this manufactured creation of an enemy. We can look at this in terms of the West's creation of a manufactured Islamic enemy also. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, as I stated in the previous video, the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst control majority percentages of Western intelligence and Russian intelligence, and are therefore running both sides for themselves. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, they are creating a Hegelian dialectic whereby they create the problem and then create the reaction and then have control over the solution. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, this is thesis, antithesis, synthesis, the idea behind the Hegelian dialectic, the creation of a fraudulent enemy. So it's all very interesting. Indeed, this is all a continuation of Cold War politics. Indeed, neo-Nazi Satanist networks and accelerationist networks such as the Order of Nine Angles serve the police state's ambitions. Indeed, these are nihilist cells, and they are sent out into the public to create the conditions whereby the population beg for greater government controls. Indeed, neo-Nazi networks are carrying out massive child rape operations, such as we've seen in Devizes with the network of M-Gang. Indeed, M-Gang are a 764 operation coordinated by Devizes Police to implement a harsher police state regimen in the United Kingdom. Indeed, M-Gang are operative for the Order of Nine Angles directly and are in direct communication with national action operatives such as Alex Griffiths. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, M-Gang were originally created as a splinter faction of national action, yet came under the orbit of 764 after that organization was formed in 2021. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, PC Joshua Dowse of Devizes Police is a serial child rapist and cannibal of dead children, which is all very interesting to consider. Indeed, this network directly interconnects with the Labyrinth cult, operating out of the catacombs beneath Wiltshire Police Headquarters, though the actual headquarters of the Labyrinth cult is Norfolk Police Headquarters. So it's interesting to consider the interweaving of the Labyrinth cult between Norfolk Police and Wiltshire Police. Indeed, Norfolk is the home of Rupert Lowe, so it's interesting to consider. Indeed, Rupert Lowe is operative for Sabbatean networks and British Royal Arch Freemasonry, and is a Grand Master of a lodge in Norfolk. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, Rupert Lowe is also an operative of Sabbatean cells of the Mossad and was previously an employee of Deutsche Bank, which gives us a direct Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst connection between the DVD intelligence operations and the operations of the Sabbatean operative Rupert Lowe, who is chiefly operative to destroy Anglo culture, interestingly, despite claiming otherwise. It's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, he believes in the institution of the Masonic Temple and the implementation of an exoteric religion for the masses, coordinated by initiates of the grand architect of the universe faith, i.e. the Masonic religion. So it's all very interesting to consider that Rupert Lowe is operative to introduce the Masonic religion as an exoteric faith for the masses. So it's all very interesting indeed. The British far right are all involved in this overall manipulation of the population, whereby they have created an artificial enemy, i.e. the Islamic population of the United Kingdom, in an attempt to reintroduce Druidic religious values, and a religion of human sacrifice and cannibalism for the masses. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. How do these operations of Rupert Lowe connect to Devizes Police? Indeed, Devizes Police, the majority percentage of them, are supporters of the Restore Party, which is interesting considering the cartel arrangements between Devizes Police and various mafiosi that are Faith of Ishmael adherents. Indeed, so it's even more interesting to consider the fact that Rupert Lowe is a Sabbatean also. So it's interesting to consider how all of these networks are interconnecting. Indeed, Devizes locals have had enough of my YouTube and are attempting to petition YouTube to have the channel taken down. Indeed, so far they're meeting with little success due to my network coordinating the server that my channel is based on. My cult connections in Russia are keeping alive this YouTube channel. So it's interesting to consider this. Indeed, the neo-Nazi satanic networks are basically operative for the Gladio 4 program, which is being run by the British security services in the United Kingdom, i.e. MI5 are running the Gladio 4 operations domestically. Indeed, MI6 run the Gladio 4 operations abroad, such as maniac murder cult operations in the former Soviet territories. Indeed, a lot of this is due to MI6 machinations as part of a program brought in by CIA Director John Brennan, who interestingly is a Faith of Ishmael adherent. Indeed, it's interesting the synthesis between neo-Nazi Satanists and jihadists. Indeed, they are basically one and the same and are aligned as part of this Gladio 4 agenda. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Russian viewers of this YouTube commented on the fact that Gladio 4 is operative even in Novosibirsk. So it's interesting to consider that even in Siberia, Gladio 4 operations are underway. by networks of Viking Battalion operatives, of Azov Battalion, and the Order of Nine Angles, attempting to create neo-Nazi satanic child ritual abuse circuits in Siberia, as directed by British intelligence operating in the former Soviet territories. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, British intelligence are operative to create satanic ritual child abuse circuits in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet territories as part of an ongoing plan to corrupt autistic people, interestingly indeed. A lot of these neo-Nazi satanic cults weaponize autism and to target autistic people to turn them into neo-Nazis. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, we can see this in the case of Vermin, known to Carl's folk as Cass Lynch or Cassius Lynch. Vermin has slight autism and has been weaponized as a child rapist by neo-Nazi Satanists. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, these networks all interconnect with US military covens such as the Temple of Set, which has as its arch controlling body the Council of Nine, who are themselves initiates of the Blood Order, the secretive Nazi-era network that continues today, indeed. So the Temple of Set very much is a Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst network. Indeed, it is a cabal operative for the Steppenwolf faction of the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst. So it's all very interesting looking at this from a perspective of a mental patient, because these networks utilize neo-Nazi Satanists to abuse, manipulate, and attempt to get mental patients to hurt themselves on camera or self-immolate. Indeed, persecution of mental patients by these neo-Nazi satanic networks is quite serious. Indeed, although these networks are predominantly satanic child ritual abuse networks, they also target mental patients. And as well as that, such networks as the Maniac Murder Cult and the Atomwaffen division beat up homeless people and sometimes murder them and sell their organs, such as in the case of the Cleaners, who were operative for GRU factions interconnected with the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst in Russia, and basically disemboweled several homeless people and sold organs and body parts to mafiosi, i.e. Russian cartel elements. So it's all very interesting to consider exactly what is going on in the former Soviet territories and how all of this is influenced by Anglo-German intelligence functions. So it's all very interesting to consider exactly what is going on. Indeed, the synthetic drug explosion in Russia is creating many more interdimensional mental patients, and therefore the number of operatives of the cosmic intelligence services is beginning to increase. And therefore, the Russian government is attempting to shut down the synthetic drug explosion because too many people like me are popping up all over Russia. Indeed, there are a lot of people in Russia with severe amnesia at the moment. Indeed, Russian mental patients are also radioactive, which gives them further interdimensional abilities. Indeed, we are a cult, so it's interesting to consider this. Indeed, British mental patients laugh at me a lot of the time for the things I say, which really annoys me. Indeed, there are various British mental patients who are part of the 20 to 30% of mental patients theorized by Itzhak Bentov to be of a higher stage of evolution. However, there seem to be fewer in Britain than in Russia, so it's all very interesting to consider this. Indeed, the Steppenwolf faction are attempting to rebrand themselves as the Cemetery faction, interestingly. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, there is this network, the Cemetery network, operating out of the catacombs beneath Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. Indeed, they worship Himmler as their idol. So it's interesting to consider the Cemetery network are very much a Himmler faction operation. In fact, within the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst, there aren't actually many operatives who idolize Adolf Hitler anymore. They were much more fond of Heinrich Himmler. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, this leads us to the fact that Michael Aquino, the DVD operative within American military intelligence and the National Security Agency, sacrificed many children at Wewelsburg Castle. And this was one of the high altars of the factions surrounding Himmler. So it's all very interesting to note this. Michael Aquino was a ritual sacrificer of children and is idolized by Vermin, who himself ritually sacrifices children upon the altar of Baal in ceremonies secretly carried out beneath Calm Police Headquarters. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, Calm Police Headquarters are operating a crypt network beneath their police station in Calm. Indeed, several ritual sacrifices have been carried out there in recent months, and indeed the high priest of this coven network is Vermin, aka Cassius Lynch or Cass Lynch, whose real title is PC Joseph Lynch of Devizes Police, but his real name is actually Warren Grimes, and he's a notorious child rapist from the north. So it's all very, very interesting to consider. Indeed, there seems to be an operation in Wiltshire of the Nordic resistance movement. There's attempting to weaponize autistic people in a hit on me, coordinated from Salisbury, interestingly, by a man I used to be friends with. I'm not going to name him, but he is operating a Salisbury link of the Nordic resistance movement. They want to get a white power network to destroy me, basically. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, I have more affinity to intelligent Slavs than I do Aryans. So it's all very interesting. As an intellectual mental patient, it is natural that I would align myself with intelligent Slavs and intelligent Hebrews, because mental patients have been persecuted by the Aryan faction for hundreds of years. So I can have no affinity with the Aryan faction. Indeed, there is no love lost between me and the Nazis in Great Britain. Indeed, they despise me and see me as a turncoat. However, they would never have accepted me anyway. So it's interesting to consider that I was never a Nazi. I was under British intelligence mind control programming via the Roundway experiment. Indeed, I was designated TF-84 within the project. So it's all very interesting to note. Indeed, British intelligence services utilized me as part of a Gladio 4 program, whereby racial politics would be normalized within the thinking of the general population. Indeed, I regret my part in this. However, I was under mind control during this period, so it's not my fault. Indeed, it's interesting to consider all of this. Indeed, Vermin known to Kant's focus Cass Lynch or Cassius Lynch, denies mind control exists. This is because he is solely in life wanting to rape and sacrifice children, toddlers, and babies. So it's interesting to consider this. Indeed, he denies everything I say about everything because he's a jealous fucker. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider that Vermin is very, very jealous of me and is attempting to have my YouTube pulled from the internet and is in communication with cemetery network operatives operating out of Bergen-Belsen concentration camp catacombs, attempting to shut me off from the internet once and for all for the glory of the Fourth Reich. So it's all very interesting to consider how all of this is playing out and how these cretins are attempting to shut me down, including Devises Police and 40% of Devises residents, including the Low Booth family, with Sabbatean operatives interconnected with Mossad cells of Sabbateans, attempting to use directed energy weaponry on me via networks, interconnected with the Pharisees. Indeed, I'm going to leave it there now because I'm starting to wander into strange directions.